All right, let's dive into Genesis 26. This is such a fascinating chapter. It's a story about survival, about conflict, but most of all about a divine promise that just refuses to be broken. And it reveals something really interesting, that faith isn't just tested by hardship, but sometimes it's tested by massive, overwhelming success. Let's get into it. So right off the bat, you've got all the ingredients for some serious drama. There's a famine so bad it threatens to wipe everyone out. Isaac is pushed into a foreign, potentially hostile land. And hanging over this whole mess is a promise from God that, honestly, seems almost impossible to keep under these circumstances. Okay, so our story kicks off with a major crisis. And this isn't just a personal challenge for Isaac. It's a direct test of that huge covenant God made with his father, Abraham, which has now been passed down to him. So a famine hits the land, and it's a bad one, just like the one his father went through. Now the logical move, the smart play, would be to head down to Egypt, right? That's the breadbasket of the ancient world. But then God steps in with a very specific and kind of strange command. Don't go, stay put, dwell right here, in the land of the Philistine king Abimelech. And if you're wondering why he should stay, well, here it is. God doesn't just give a command. He doubles down on the covenant in this spectacular way. He promises not just his presence and his blessing, but to give Isaac's descendants all these lands and to make them as numerous as the stars in the sky. So right from the get-go, the stakes are incredibly high. So now Isaac's in this foreign land, and his first big test isn't about the famine at all. It's about fear. And his reaction? Well, it's going to sound really familiar. It feels like we're seeing a family pattern play out all over again. You got to put yourself in Isaac's shoes. He's terrified that the local men will see how beautiful his wife Rebekah is and just kill him to get to her. So what does he do? He falls back on a deception, claiming she's his sister. It's a move that comes from a really human place, right? Just pure self-preservation. I mean, look at this. The parallels are just, wow. They're undeniable. This is not a coincidence. It's like a carbon copy of what his father, Abraham, did. Same place, same king, the exact same lie, and for the exact same reason. It really makes you wonder, are we sort of destined to repeat the mistakes of our parents? The son is quite literally stumbling in his father's footsteps. But here's where the story takes a twist. King Abimelech just happens to look out his window one day and sees Isaac and Rebekah acting, well, a lot more like a husband and wife than a brother and sister. He figures it out instantly. But instead of flying into a rage, he actually scolds Isaac for putting the whole kingdom at risk. And then, get this, he issues a royal decree. Anyone who messes with this man or his wife will be put to death. In a crazy turn of events, the king becomes their personal bodyguard. So, with his personal safety guaranteed, Isaac starts to do really, really well. But that prosperity leads to a brand new and honestly, even bigger conflict. This time, it's all about the one thing you can't live without in a dry land: water. And this number just perfectly captures the insane scale of God's blessing. Think about it. We're in the middle of the famine, right? And Isaac plants some seeds and reaps a 100-fold harvest in 1 year. That's not just good farming. That's a straight-up economic miracle. It's the kind of supernatural success that nobody can ignore. But you know how it goes. With great success comes great envy. This incredible blessing actually creates a huge problem. Isaac becomes so rich, so powerful, that the Philistines get incredibly jealous. And their envy boils over into action. They start sabotaging him, filling in the wells his father Abraham had dug years ago with dirt. The tension gets so thick that King Abimelech himself has to come and ask Isaac to leave, basically admitting, "You've become way too powerful for us." So Isaac leaves, but the conflict just follows him. His crew digs a well, and immediately the local herdsmen show up to fight over it. So he names it Esek, which means contention. They move on, they dig another well, and the fighting gets even worse. He names that one Sitna, meaning enmity. The pressure is just building and building. But, and this is key, instead of fighting back, Isaac's response is to simply move again. He digs a third well, and this time, finally, there's no fight. He calls it Rehoboth, meaning room, because he realizes God has finally made space for him. Now, this strategy of de-escalation, of choosing peace over picking a fight, it's about to pay off in a huge way, because the very people who just kicked him out are about to make a comeback. And this time, they are definitely not looking for a fight. King Abimelech himself, with his top military commander in tow, travels all the way out to find Isaac. Just imagine what Isaac is thinking. The guy who kicked you out whose people filled in your wells, is now marching toward your camp. You'd be bracing for another confrontation, right? But that's not what happens. Instead, Abimelech says something that changes everything. He says, "We saw certainly that the Lord was with thee." This is the whole turning point of the story. He finally admits that Isaac's success, that crazy harvest, his ability to find water where no one else could, it wasn't luck, it was divine. He realizes he's not just dealing with a wealthy nomad, he's witnessing the power of Isaac's God firsthand. And once Abimelech says that, a peace treaty is pretty much the only logical next step. Isaac agrees not to use his power against them, and in return, Abimelech's side formally recognizes him as the blessed of the Lord. They seal the deal with a sworn oath and a big feast, totally transforming this relationship from one of conflict and envy into a real, lasting alliance. And you just can't make this timing up. On the exact same day they make this treaty, Isaac's servants strike water again. It's like a divine exclamation point. So to remember both the oaths and the new well, Isaac names the place Beersheba, the well of the oath, forever tying this place to that incredible moment of reconciliation. So Isaac navigates all these external tests, turning his enemies into allies, all through this amazing combination of divine blessing and his own patient, peaceful approach. But just as things seem to be settling down on the outside, the chapter ends with this little hint of trouble brewing on the inside, within his own family, with his sons. And that leaves us with a big question. Can this peace he's built with the outside world possibly last when a storm is about to break inside his own home?